Our mic's on.
On now.
Deathly silence,
Yes.
the normal deathly silence. No Harv tonight, right? No.
No.
Hey, I'll call the meeting to order. Do you have the roll call? Okay, and we'll have the invocation by Pastor Jim Vickery from the Presbyterian Church. If everyone will stand, please.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Will you bow your head as I pray? Sustaining and nurturing God, in this start to summer, we celebrate the sunshine that wakes the beautiful flowers throughout Bandon and brings vibrant colors to our eyes. Throughout our city, we can see your glory and your handiwork, and we give thanks to you for your providential care and the blessings you bestow on our lives. Lord and Redeemer, as the school year is over, we celebrate our students, our teachers, administrators, and parents for a successful school year, and we particularly celebrate those graduating seniors and for all their hard work and accomplishments. Walk with them as they approach new challenges. Thank you for the blessing that you give to them with scholarships and encouragement, and open up for them your hope for the opportunities that lie ahead. Strengthen them to walk with confidence into this new phase of life, knowing that you are with them. Merciful God, grant the mayor, city council, commissions, committees, departments, and staff the wisdom and discernment as they make decisions affecting our lives. And in all such decisions, may we seek the protection of the most vulnerable in our society, including the children of our community, the marginalized, those facing food and shelter insecurity. We ask for your healing presence for all those suffering with physical and mental illness and those battling addiction. May we in thought, word, and deed embody your commandment to love you with all of our heart, soul, and mind, and to love each other as we love ourselves. We are grateful for the presentations we will hear this evening. May they enrich our lives through greater understanding of the needs of our community and how better serve them. God of peace, give us an ability to work together in harmony, even where there is honest disagreement. And may all who speak tonight speak in love, with humility, respect, and tolerance for all of our neighbors. And may Bandon continue to be a place where those who live and work in it flourish. Guide the city in improving the welfare of its current and future citizens so that all may enjoy the benefits of living and working here. For it is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by our Council President, Madeline.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is a presentation by Margaret Pounder, the Chamber Executive.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Nice to be here. Great night. I have a little bit longer than planned because we've gone 3 weeks since I started it. So now I've added
yeah.
3 weeks worth of stuff. So we're going to talk a little bit tonight about what we're doing, what the projects we've got going on, that sort of thing. So it's not all TOT, but it's all based on our community, right? Madam Mayor and councilors, thank you for having us here tonight. As we move forward into a world of exciting opportunities in marketing and promoting for the continual investment into our community, we will provide a strong, positive, and solid reasons for the business community to grow and prosper. Today's tourist marketing has changed. We want both the visitor and the residents to love our town as much as we do. Small business owners matter to our downtown. Of course, but they depend on small building owners, excuse me, along with many other factors. We want to have current information available to anyone who wants to open or develop a business in Bandon. We use our data that we have at the chamber, not only for tourism, but to ensure that we have the correct and accurate information for us and for our community and those that may want to invest in our community. There we go. So I'm just real quickly talking about our team. You guys know me. Andrea Wilson is our membership and office administrator. She identifies the needs of members and potential members and recommending the development of services to meet those needs. She also oversees the Bandon Visitor Center and all of the volunteers that work there. Avery, who nobody doesn't know. I just saw she picked up another job. That girl is crazy. She is our event coordinator. She manages all of the events that the Bandon Chamber puts on, well, nearly all of them, or she has a hand in them. Her goal is to make sure that every event is unforgettable. Sharon Lippold is our contracted content manager. She lives just north of Gold Beach. She oversees the development, distribution, and strategic efforts of creating messaging to inform our audiences. She does it both for the chamber and also for the visitors to the Bandon area. She has a focus on content, which is very strong. She's an amazing wordsmith, and her SEO.
Margaret, does she drive up here from Gold Beach every day?
No, she works remote.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I don't see her but maybe twice a year,
Okay.
but we talk almost every day.
Margaret, what's the SEO?
It is, I knew.
Search engine
Thank you, search engine optimization. So basically, she makes sure that Bandon.com is easily accessible. And we are just, by the way, we are having that website totally redone. Should be up in redone in a couple of weeks. So next slide, please. Success in what we do drives economic success in our community. We utilize regional analysis. We demonstrate the performance of public assets, and that means everything that the city has, that people have, that the county has, and that the state parks have. Identify our region's strengths and benchmark against similar areas. So we're always looking at how we are standing up next to Gold Beach, up to Coos Bay, Yachats. Actually, I even look at Yachats. Understand the demographic traits of our community and our visitors to identify opportunities to attract the right retailers and the right visitors. So I'm looking at both sides of it anymore. Almost every job is directly or indirectly attached to the tourism industry and our coastal industries. And I want you to know that I'm just skipping over a lot of stuff tonight. I want you to know what we have as an access. And if you are interested, I am more than happy to go over any of this data, but I don't want to bore you to total tears tonight. So I'm trying to, it's a lot of information, but I want you to know what we do have available to us. So what I have tonight is a comparative executive summary. It's lots of numbers. But what I'm doing is for you comparing 2022 to 2021. In 2022, the total trips to Bandon increased by 8.6% to a total of 643, almost 644,000 people. The total visitor days increased by 5.5%, and the average length of stay actually decreased. So we're looking at more day trips, which is kind of scary. We don't want that. We want people to be spending the night. So we're looking at how to fix that. We like to look over several years. We have 5 years worth of information at our fingertips. So I skip over 2021, obviously, but we look at 18, 19, and then up to 23. Of course, Oregon and California are our top 2 markets. No big surprise there to anyone. So this is what I look at when I'm trying to figure out where to market and what I need to know to be able to spend the TOT dollars perfectly. And I mean perfectly, because there's not a lot of it. And so we have to be very good at what we do. So you see on the top left there, or the bottom left actually, it's called clusters. And so I look at 5 different things. I look at attractions, outdoor recreation, Bandon, Oregon, which is our town, mostly old town, restaurants, lodging, and then golf. And so I look at how much the percentages is. And so that's where the things I'm going to talk about in my advertising to the people, depending on where I'm marketing. The DMAs is just strictly where our market is. Portland, is our number one, which really surprised me before we got this data. Bedford, Klamath Falls second, and Eugene third, and I always thought Eugene was first. So this has been a very good information thing for me. Seattle's pretty strong as well, and then California drops in, which is, again, very interesting. And we're trying to figure out how to stretch the dollars to be able to market more in those areas. I can tell how many days visitors stay and why they stay and when they stay and the demographics of who's staying. And so then we get into the competitive analysis. I think we skipped ahead, which is always good, but I always like to see what our neighbors are doing. So I have my competitive analysis with Coos Bay, Brookings, Mandan. We're right smack in the middle on almost everything which fits Gold Beach and Yachats area. I always want somebody that's kind of like us, about the same age, same size as us, which is Yachats. So I can kind of see where we're going. You see that Coos Bay jumps up. I'm guessing it's festivals maybe that has put them way up there. And so I don't really worry too much about that. But the rest of the time, it's pretty comparable. So new this year, I have vehicle data. So hang on to your hats. This is tracking personal cars. There's no cell phones. Remember I told you last year when we
Yeah.
started this. Now they've added a new part of my marketing and part of my demographic studies. And newer cars have this ability. If your car was manufactured after 2010, your vehicle probably has GPS or some form of connectivity to track. The only thing that doesn't track is rental cars. I can see Chris just freaking out. We can track where cars go. We can actually drill down on how long they stay at a certain spot, like parking in front of a certain place, how long they stay, and we gather that they're going here or there. I don't do that. They do it for me, obviously. Slow times versus busy times, parking issues and possible solutions. Then we can look at where our parking issues are. So this is a lot of stuff right here. But if you look at, if you can go across the bottom, Dan, can you help? Can you just go August? Yep, August, and then go up to that 100%. Yep, right there. That is a peak time of parking in Bandon. Oh, isn't that? Thank you, sir. I wanted a clicker, but it didn't work. This tool will help us as our community creates more prime time things to do. For example, you can see that on Saturdays in August, prime parking is at 100% capacity. We don't want to create things to do then. It's going to multiply our problems about parking. So we're going to look for areas of time that parking is not an issue as much. So that is something that will help the community decide how we're going to market and when we want to make sure that we don't overcrowd our businesses and overcrowd our community. And then you can see this big surprise up here on the top right. Oregon is our market, big market. Washington is second and California is third. And then you'll also see again that I can figure out where volumes have dropped. This year, 2023, as you'll see the first part of the first quarter, we dropped. But guess why? We had gas prices were up, economy was down, people were worried, and the weather was absolutely pitiful. So we know, I mean, we look at that and we can rationalize, and I hope it's the right rationalization. So anyway, there's a lot of data. So any more that you want to talk about or ask me questions about or whatever, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to discuss it. I'm happy to pull it up on anybody's computer and actually look at it. But that's what I do on a pretty much daily basis, at least every other day or so, as I study what the markets are doing. And I get these reports almost daily, but they do come up. I look at them probably overall about every 2 to 3 weeks where I really compare to where they were last year. And then this is the pretty stuff. This is what we're doing. Some of them, the one on the left is an inside of a back cover of one of the larger magazines that we advertise in. The ones on the right was a campaign that we're involved in. Currently, will be over at the end of this month. It was a test market, and I'll go into that results just a little bit more. But it was a digital campaign. And if you go to the next one, you can see that these also, the ones with had the people in them, they moved through it. So if you have that ranked top 10, like the medium one or whatever, it would show all three pictures as it goes, because it's more of a movie, if you will. And then the bottom was just showing you some of the new photos that we have that we're using. And there's another one. Steve Demock did these. He just happened to catch them and he sent it to me. He said, if you want to use these, this is great. And it just was a fun picture. So we've used that a couple of different times. And we've used this one a lot. It seems to do a lot of work for us. We have a QR code that sends people back to our website to be able to show them what there is to see and do in our town. And then we have upcoming events. Most of them you probably all know about. We just finished the Rock and Gem Show. This was supposed to be back in the 5th of June instead of it was upcoming at that point. We are one of the community partners in the 4th of July activities. Lots of us, the city of Bandon doing the fireworks, the Greater Bandon Association doing a wine walk, and Port's doing a cardboard boxes. Yeah, cardboard races. Yes. And all sorts of fun stuff on the 4th of July. We got a parade going on. Middle of July, we have over 200 bike riders at the city park. They're just coming through for a slow stop. It's a group out of Portland. Whiskey Run Mountain Bike Festival is a big festival that we started last year, and it's growing. And we have a lot of big name bikers coming this time, so it should be fun. Kites and Castles in August, fall festival of some sort we're creating in the fall, shop small, shop local, day after Thanksgiving, 2 days after Thanksgiving. Message in a Bottle is already ongoing, has been going on, great success. Got a cocoa crawl coming up around Christmas and more. We're also back up just a second if you would. That's okay. I looked like I was done. We're also facilitating Old Town facade improvements. Thank you, Mr. Chris over there. He's got his bakery all shined up and pretty, and he's ready to, I think you're still gonna do some signage and some lights and stuff, right?
And some windows.
Yeah, oh, and new windows, yeah. So it's been a fun project. We partnered with the city on this using urban renewal dollars. And we've got 12 businesses that are upgrading their facades. I am so excited about it. I can't tell you. I have been on this for years in my head, trying to figure out how to get Old Town prettier. And then thank you very much, city, doing the street lights and all the great stuff that's going on down in Old Town. It's amazing. And I'm very, very, very proud of everything that we're doing down there. So.
The 12 businesses are just in Old Town alone?
Pardon?
The 12 businesses are just in Old Town alone?
Yes, we had to use urban renewal dollars that were in Old Town. I'm hoping to extend that eventually, but we're going to hope to get all 12 of them done, and then we'll move forward in a year or two. And of course, we had a Cranberry Festival, September 9th and 10th. It'll be up in City Park. We're excited about that. A couple of different things going on this year. We're moving everything to the north side of 11th Street. So there'll be parking all in the middle where the ball fields are. So we'll have immense amount of parking.
Well, that'll help.
Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be fun. And other things we're working on always. Workforce housing on the left. Old Town restrooms, we're always working on that, and we hope to have that. Although we got a price tag back the other day and I almost swallowed my tongue, so we'll be looking elsewhere. Beach access for disabled. Still working on that with both the city and the state parks. And that's a big thing for state parks right now, is they're pushing really hard for anybody to be able to access the beach. So that's a good news thing, and we're working hard on that. And workforce, obviously, our businesses here in town need workforce bad. And so I'm continually working on that and finding any avenues that I can to find workforce for them. And then I have a couple of things that this is my thank you, but now I'm not done because it's 3 weeks later. We had a fun thing happen. So on, I don't know, probably a couple of weeks ago, did it happen? Yeah, I think about 3 weeks, a couple of weeks ago. We had there was a robust, excited bunch of people on a social media site that thought that we should have some art on utility boxes. And so I kind of watched it go on, and Nicole Graham kind of watched it go on. And so we were conversing, and she and I got together, had a couple different times and had cups of coffee, and I ran it by Dan, and he thought that it was probably an okay idea. So we're going to move forward with painting utility boxes. And yes. Yep. Yep, for sure. Yeah, we're moving forward with that. So we want to note it's continuation of many other public art projects, but that's part of what I'm working on myself is the chamber wants to be very involved in public art, period. So this group is going to dream, create, guide, and implement art in whatever form throughout the community. As Nicole and I sat the other day and had coffee, it was like, oh my gosh, we could bring in this and we could bring in this and, everything is art. I mean, there's so much art that we can wrap our arms around. And so we're pretty excited about that. So I'd like to introduce Nicole, if you want to stand up, Nicole, and your group that's here, the small group. Small group. So we have Maggie Wright and Jill Stockford. Thank you, ladies, very much. Appreciate it. And our first meeting is going to be fairly soon, right? To get this thing kicked off. Yeah, perfect. So they wanted to be here tonight to be able to meet you, to let you put names on faces and that sort of thing. And if you have any questions, concerns, whatever, please let us know and we'll be happy to answer. And if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, that's it for me. Yeah.
I do have just one thing. People have told me that they have gone on the chamber's website and Bandon events and they can't find, there's only 4 or 5 things going on for 4th of July.
Okay.
They can never find them in one place.
Yeah.
Nowhere have I found anything on any chamber site about the Port Abandon. All right, well, people.
Yeah, it's on there.
Well, not the ones that we looked at and when I was trying to write something for my column.
Yeah.
And then there wasn't anything about the wine walk. The 2 that I saw had the parade. And the
Yep.
parade was always there.
Yep.
And occasionally the parade and the fireworks were there. I know there must be quite a few different sites that we're looking. Where would be the place that people would go to have gotten all of the events that are going to happen on that day? What would be?
Should
the
be on
sites?
bandon.com/events.
Because
Because isn't the wine walk on? Didn't you put the wine walk in all the time?
Yeah, I didn't put it on.
Okay, yeah, everybody puts their own on there.
Oh, okay.
So it's
That
not
might be a
necessarily,
problem.
it doesn't necessarily, if it's something we're involved in,
Like-
we do it. Yeah,
Cardboard race to the
Oh.
website.
yeah, he just go on Ben, yeah,
Because what I was seeing, I never saw, I went to 2 different sites and I never saw anything about the cardboard boat races.
I'll ship you that
Yeah,
link.
ship me so that
I
I
will,
can look
yeah.
at that next
Yeah.
time when I'm looking to put
Yeah.
something in my column. Great.
Send
Yeah.
it to me too, Margaret, please.
And
Yeah,
then
of course.
Yeah.
doesn't Greater Bandon also put out a poster with the list?
I thought, last meeting, I thought
See,
he
it's-
said he was going to. Yeah. I will check with Harv, because I thought he was gonna do a poster, because at our last board meeting, I thought he was gonna. make
That was
sure
my
of that.
understanding too.
Yeah,
There's usually
yeah.
a poster that comes out with
Right.
all the events.
Yeah, and if it's not gonna happen, I can do one really quick, so no
Okay.
problem. Cool. Any questions?
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so the GPS with the cars, you said that, you said the rental cars don't rent, why would rental cars not? I think they would probably be more than anybody.
Private. It's a privacy policy. And you have to, actually, when you buy a car, you actually sign something that says that they can use the GPS on you. And you don't even know.
I
it.
don't read all but.
Nobody does, exactly, exactly. So when you do, they just, because it's a rental car, they don't want to deal with the privacy thing, so they don't even allow that to happen. So yeah, if it's a rental car,
Interesting.
yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah.
Shocked me, actually. So yeah, this whole vehicle thing has been a whole nother learning curve for me, but it's great, it's fun, and it gives us lots of information that I think we can utilize, within the next year or 2, once I get my feet on the ground with it, so.
We just can't get away with anything. I mean.
No,
So,
No.
the last time
You
she
guys
talked
with
to us,
the
now
new
we've got
car.
Words involved.
but now
Jeez.
you're not freaking out, so.
That's true, that's true.
Last time when I came to you with this, it was like pretty scary. So, but yeah, it's good information. And I do have one last thing to share with you. We did a test campaign for 2 months. And we spent $5,000 of the TOT money to just do a test campaign through this data company. And they looked at all of our information and then placed our digital campaign in the places that seem to be most interested in Bandon, correct? And so over 2 months, we have generated, because they can track it by who actually clicked on Bandon.com, who went to Bandon, and kind of how much they spent here, right? It was extrapolations, right? They don't know. But we spent $5,000 and the estimated campaign impact is $17,100. We had 144 room nights And we had 578,000 plus people who looked at Bandon.com because they were interested in Bandon. Whether they book now or later, that's 578,000 people who may or may not be interested in Bandon. We had 1,085 people that clicked on it and then went further in to get the impressions. So that's all the data that we can get. The ROA is for every dollar we spent, we got $2.77 back
Okay.
in business in Bandon.
I do have one comment.
Yes.
Earlier you said what remains constant is day trips rank the highest, and that's not. I'm wondering if the cost of our motel units are part of the reason why
I think
people
that's
just,
making a big
these are,
impact.
people that are coming, say, from Roseburg, it's probably a lot cheaper to drive back to Roseburg
Very
than it
much.
is. Because I know a friend of mine wanted to stay here for a class reunion in August, a weekend in August. And just this motel up here on the hill, it isn't even out on the beach, was $750 for 2 nights.
Yep.
400 for Saturday and 350 for Friday.
Yep.
And, people are gonna drive, you can drive a long ways for that kind of money.
Yep.
And I think that may be.
We're
part
hearing that a
of-
lot, very much so.
And I may say, I got a call from a friend of mine the other night. They're having some kind of conventions. She says the hotel prices are so dear. I'm having a friend of hers stay overnight at my place.
Yep.
My niece is coming in. She's leaving that morning. This girl I don't even know is coming to my place because they're so expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true. Yeah. And part of that, to be fair,
No charge, no charge.
get that TOT, will you? But part of it is, and I have not talked to any of the hoteliers, but I do think that part of it is they don't have the workforce to clean the rooms. So I'm not sure they're renting every room they have.
Right.
I think they're having to make that up because it just makes sense. They just don't have the people. Nobody has the people
Yeah,
to
but
do it.
then the price they pay for the hotel, they have to get back their money.
Yeah,
so they raise the
exactly.
rates.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a fun time.
Well,
Well,
I want to tell you something, Margaret. Friday I was at Tony's and ran into a family, older family. They were here for a family reunion. 2 gentlemen had not seen each other in 50 years. And one of the sisters lived in Washington and she's the one that convinced everybody they have to come to Bandon for their little reunion. They did rent a vacation rental, of course. But they were very impressed by the visitor center. That
Oh,
was the first place they hit.
Oh, good.
And of course, all of our shops downtown and, your Bandon Baking was one of their favorites for their morning
Good.
and Coastal Mist, of course.
Yeah.
And so they were enjoying themselves very much. And they were here for a week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's a nice
yeah.
stay. Love
So,
that.
Yeah.
Good.
So the chamber's doing a good job.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I want to say that I'm completely in favor of the utility box paintings.
Oh, good.
I'm familiar with one of the artists. She's a frequent winner in the Boardwalk Art Contest.
Aha.
And so I'm excited to see
Yeah.
how it turns out.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. It's just a little pops of color, where we can possibly do it. So
Yeah.
it's just at the very beginning of it. We haven't even identified where they are, but it's a first step. And so I'm working on public art. That's all it is.
Ask the gal who took the picture.
Pardon?
The girl who took the picture originally.
Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Yeah, the next item on the agenda is to accept the resignation for Councilman Jeff Smith. I don't see anything in writing here, but I know that he contacted June and he has resigned.
I
So
move-
moved.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded that we accept his resignation. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, the next item is an agreement for services with the Urban Renewal Agency for fiscal year 23-24. Dan?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, councilors. This is an agreement we do every year since the Urban Renewal Agency and the districts are a separate entity. We have to have an agreement between them and the city for the charges that the city, the charges for the services that the city provides. Audit services, public work services, those sorts of things. This simply sets out the agreement and the terms for this next budget year.
Motion to approve agreement with the Urban Renewal Agency for Administration, Accounting, Planning, Public Works and Auditing Services as budgeted for fiscal year 2023 to 24.
Second.
Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Josh and Brian, everybody else.
Everybody else?
We approve the agreement with the Urban Renewal Agency. All in favor? Raise your hand. Okay. Okay, now here's a couple of things. You didn't find anything in your packet about these because I just wanted to put them on the agenda so that we keep them in mind here. And for one thing, I want an update on the code enforcement issues, which would include the Franson House and possibly anything on the former service station across the street, which seems to have has morphed into some kind of it has structures and flowers and a lot of things there. So I don't know who I'm going to hear from, Dan, or whether I'm going to hear from Richard about.
I'll start.
Okay, you can start. All right.
I'll start on the Franson House. We've actually taken the steps to do a clean and lean
Good.
on that
good.
property. So it is scheduled for a hearing at the July meeting.
Oh, okay.
So I prefer we not talk much about that outside the formal public hearing.
Okay,
I would note that I did see a Dropbox there today. And she has asked for an extension of time. Our recommendation is we go ahead and have the hearing on the 10th and see where we are.
okay.
On the flower shop across the street, they've been sent a violation letter. Obviously, they haven't remedied the violations. What they applied for was for outdoor storage was a thing that would roll out under the cover and then roll back in at night. Obviously, there's a whole lot more than that's going on. It seems to be, in spite of getting the warning letter, there's more stuff there today. The stuff that was moved was just moved back in the corner. There's now sacks of garbage. On the north side of the building, there are old signs. We will proceed to citation writing. It would be our next step.
And there's
It's complicated a little bit by the fireworks stand.
Yeah, and we're sorry about that.
We're not sure how that came to be the location, but I think it hit everyone by surprise. It is causing we've seen some traffic issues there. It's a little bit of a tough spot, particularly with all of the stuff that she has in what were supposed to be the parking areas. There's
Right.
nowhere to park there. We've seen cars backing out onto Oregon Avenue. So anyway, the 4th will be soon and it will hopefully be
Okay,
done, but we're gonna move to citation. This they've been warned many times. They've been well aware of what they should and shouldn't be doing. So
okay. Thank you. The next item that I put on was a business license. I was contacted by a man who has a business in Old Town, and he's a retired firefighter from Los Angeles County, I believe. And he's concerned about some of the activities that are going down there and going on in some of the buildings. And he said if we had a business license, we would have, and I don't mean a business license to generate money. That sometimes some cities use a business license. I mean, they can charge exorbitant rates to maybe fund the fire department or the police department. That's not our goal. Our goal is more or less to have a registration to know what businesses we have in town. If somebody's to call, let's say they want to come into town and put a bicycle shop in. So they call the chamber and they say, how many bicycle shops do you have in town? Well, if they're not registered and they don't have a business license, you really don't know. I mean, apparently we did have 2. I think now it's down to 1. But it also, a business license would allow the fire department to come in and do some fire inspection checks, and particularly down in the Old Town. When I was on the city council 35 years ago, back in the 70s, we had a study called the High Conflagration Report, and it talked about what would happen if one of those businesses in some of the specific areas, if one of them caught fire, that it could take the entire block. And so, we should be worried about fire. We're primarily worried from a gorse standpoint. And obviously there is gorse on the hillsides there, but that's not going to be the problem. The problem's going to be common walls and these buildings, as we all know, most of the buildings in that area were thrown up, and I literally mean thrown up after the fire. The fire was in September of 1936. And by October of 36, some of the buildings that still stand there today, and they were very, very clearly built as temporary buildings. And that was over 80 years ago, 90 years ago. And you can see, though, that's the core of our downtown area, our buildings, including Lloyd's, that were just thrown. It is a very.
Can we have a public comment period where
Yeah, we-
anyone can speak for 3 minutes at a
That's
time?
okay.
Thank you.
When we did the HUD loan back in the eighties, one of the requirements was that we had to have fire resistant walls. I know when I remodeled the old building I was in, there was like 3 hours of sheetrock between the buildings. Plus, the larger buildings were all sprinkled. Lloyd's particularly, but a lot of the other buildings were sprinkled. So it's not as bad as you're making it out to be.
It's not, but it certainly was at that time.
At that
and-
time it was, but
And we
not any
need,
longer.
I believe that we need some fire inspection, and in order to get a permit, we could require that the police or the fire department just look over the buildings. I mean, why not be proactive instead of reactive? And anyway, I have some, the League of Oregon Cities has some model business license, business license ordinances, and I would just like us to take a look at some of them and see if one would fit our purposes. It's just something to look into.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to, Brian, you were on the council. Many years ago, we tried to get businesses licensed, cottage industry homes. And we asked the chamber to do it, and they started and they dropped it. But we had been trying it that many years ago.
Well, it's time to quit
So it's time
crying
to
and,
go again.
yeah, get it done.
They've got new people in the chamber.
Well, and it isn't really, it isn't a revenue generating,
No, we
What's-
just-
so it's-
no.
Charging for it then. If
Hmm?
it's not a revenue generator, what are you thinking of charging for it?
whatever, $10.
We-
It's
I
registration
don't believe under our charter, we can charge anything
without a vote.
without a vote.
Well, yes, and I'm saying that if the city's gonna be in charge of it, don't tell me that it's gonna be $10 for now till the end of time.
Well, like he said, he
10
just
bucks and 50.
he's just pointing out the fact that in order to charge anything, we'd have to have, but just to have a registration of businesses,
Registration is what
we don't have. That's really what we want, okay?
Chamber.
I
So
know
then
it's not-
don't call it a license, just to call it some sort of a registration.
Well, it's-
Because there's gonna be enforcement issues. And then if, like, when we have traveling merchants come in, like for festivals, are they gonna have to get a license? Or can you call it a whatever registration?
Well, another thing then, while we're on the subject, are solicitors, door-to-door sales. I hear more from older people, of which we have a lot of older people, that the solicitors start coming in the summer and they're knocking on the doors in the residential areas. You have no idea who you are. We have had 3 home invasions in this area in the last year. And one of them was this very thing where somebody knocked on the door. They were wearing a hard hats and vests and looked like orange vests. They looked like they were service people. And the man made the mistake of opening the door and the guy drew a gun on him and held him at gunpoint. His wife was in a wheelchair. It was a very sad situation. And there are several ways this can be handled. We either need to encourage people to put a sign on their property, no solicitation, but we need to have an ordinance that backs that up. And that's the kind of thing that I want us to look into, because I know in my neighborhood, it's nothing to have 2 and 3, and sometimes they come as late as 7 and 8 o'clock at night, and single people who live alone do not want people coming and knocking on their door, strangers at 7 or 8 o'clock at night or anytime, frankly.
To look into that would be, there are constitutional issues involved. Knocking on your door and soliciting is speech. So folks who come for political causes or political solicitation actually they have a right to do it. It's a free speech issue. If we're going to regulate commercial solicitation, then there are some other constitutional hoops we got to jump through. There's got to be a compelling reason that we're doing it. Typically, safety, privacy are compelling enough reasons. It's got to be no more restrictive than necessary. There are some things to do, but I think the mayor hit it on the head. Have a sign and don't answer your door.
Well, and League of Oregon Cities has a specific paragraph called door-to-door solicitation, and it says regulations imposed upon solicitors generally limit the hours of operations and require the solicitor to hold a general business license. Or you could call it a general business permit if license is too strong for Chris and Brian.
But it can't be while you're having dinner. Like, it should be.
Yeah. But anyway, it's something that I think we need to look at. In addition, cities may specifically prohibit door-to-door solicitation at premises where a sign has been posted prohibiting such services. So we could certainly do that, encourage people, because it's just like it's starting up again, and it won't be long before all the roof people, the roofers from out of town will be knocking on our door. And I think that we should become proactive. And that's really all I have to say about those three issues. So now we're on resolutions, adopting an employee salary schedule for fiscal year 23-24. I guess that's Paula.
Paula? Dan?
Sure, I'll go ahead.
Okay,
Again, this is something we do every year.
right?
This is the salary schedule that's reflected in the budget. If you have any questions about it, we're here to answer them, but otherwise, this is just something we do every year.
Do I hear a motion?
I move to adopt resolution number 2312, adopting the employee salary schedule in accordance with the fiscal year 23-24 municipal budget and the negotiated collective bargaining agreements currently in place.
Second.
And motion by Josh and seconded by Brian to adopt resolution number 23-12. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, the next item is 23-15, memorializing findings regarding the zoning of the Moore Mill property. Now, this is an interesting.
Sounds
You're
me.
you're
Come
on.
on, Dana.
So the planning commission held a work session on this topic, and I think I talked about it briefly with you last time. So we had a request from the Port Abandon and the owners of the Moore Mill property to develop the site that they own on the Coquille River. And at the time that they requested it, I started looking through our files to try to figure out what it was zoned, because our zoning map said one thing. But our comprehensive plan map said something else. And when I started to dig into the files, I found lots of post-it notes with question marks on it, indicating that someone had reviewed these files before and come to the same conclusion that I did, that perhaps there was a mistake in our zoning map and this property was never rezoned. So our zoning map currently says that it's controlled development 1, which if you read the purpose of that zone, it's for oceanfront development, which this is very clearly not. And the property in our comprehensive plan was zoned heavy industrial, which makes sense because it was the Moore Mill log yard for a number of years. So Sherry McGrath was hired by the Port Abandon to do quite a bit of research. We sat in that room over there reading files for hours. And for the planning commission, she prepared the attached findings, which we'd like to sort of memorialize, put in that file, and make sure that anybody who comes looking for them later understands the history of events, and that this property was never properly rezoned. We did reach out to the property owners too, and have been in communication with them. They are interested in keeping it industrial for a future industrial use. So you'll notice in those findings that there are also they're asking for a text amendment that the planning commission will take on this year, and there are a list of things they're asking for, but just letting you know that that has not been decided. That will come before you in an ordinance amendment later. So just the findings, the history is what we're sort of adopting.
Okay, I'm curious about the history here. About halfway through, it says Committee for Citizen, whatever it says, agenda, Committee for Citizens Agenda. And it's the Planning Commission, because I was chairman, and this is 34 years ago, and I was the chairman, and I can assure you that all of this discussion, page after page, did not take place at a CCI meeting. So who wrote in handwriting that this was CCI?
So I think are you talking about the attached minutes?
Yeah.
So when we went through the minutes files, it would be interesting if that's correct, because we were actually missing some minutes from certain meetings back in the day. So in the bound books here, we have all the minutes from all of the meetings, and these were listed as CCI. So it may just be incorrect, because when I went and saw the outline of the meetings that they had that
Yeah,
year
there's no
versus
way
the
that this-
minutes.
Right.
The planning commission, I believe, served as the
They did,
CCI back
exactly,
then. If
exactly.
you look at page 6 of that document you're referring to, it says planning commission / citizens involvement.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
So
up
it's
here.
probably, yes, but I think
Nothing about planning committee.
it was the same committee.
Because I would hate to have people think that this would be the work of the CCI
Mm.
and expect that for the next CCI meeting, because this was definitely a planning commission meeting, and it was, and our intent was to rezone it. Now, what
Yes.
happened to it? And I don't know why it never got into the official records to be rezoned, but that was certainly the reason we had this meeting, and David L. Davis wanted to develop down there, and so it's interesting that all these years ago, we find out that all of our work went for naught because it was never rezoned.
And so the writing that's on there, the handwriting is old. That's what we found in our file. So it's none of our modern handwriting. I wish I knew. And to maybe provide a little context to it, appears that this all happened during a periodic review process. So the planning commission, the city council, the CCI, they all talked about these things happening. They approved the periodic review, which got held up because of the abandoned beach motel project. And so it may be that it just never actually got adopted in the way that it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Or
All
it
right,
just fell
so,
through the cracks.
okay, so we're correcting this, at least
Okay.
this part.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution 23-15.
Second,
Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry to approve resolution 23-15. All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one, these are easy to extract, accepting the abstract votes for measure 6208, 209, and 210. I think they can all be done, couldn't they, with this same motion. And this was, we want to thank the public. I don't know who supported this, but a lot of people supported us, and we were shocked. We were
thankful.
shocked at the percentage that these passed by, and we're certainly appreciative of whoever helped us pass those resolutions.
So do we want one motion for all three?
Yes.
Okay, Madam Mayor, make a motion to adopt resolution 23-16. That's election measure 606-208 for the sewer rate increase. Resolution 23-17 for the election measure 6-209 for the water rate increase. And resolution 23-18 election measures 6-210 for the electric rate increase.
Second.
Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Josh, that we accept the abstract votes for measures 6208, 209, and 210. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, the next one is resolution 2319, updated capital asset policy effective fiscal year 22-23. Now, is there a reason that that's retroactive?
Paula?
Yes, it would be retroactive, so
For a whole year?
we could apply it to this fiscal year. So the
Okay.
fiscal year that ends June 30th, we can apply it to this year and for August.
Oh,
Greatly, work.
for auditing.
Okay,
Okay.
as long as you, okay,
May Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution number 2319, updating the capital asset policy that increases the capitalization threshold to 10,000 effective July 1, 2022.
Second.
been moved by Madeline, seconded by Brian, that we accept approve resolution number 23-19. All in favor? So nothing occurred, oh, that was unanimous. So nothing occurred in all of 2022 to do with that 10,000 threshold?
A lot of inflation.
Well, I can understand because July 1st is next week, so I could understand from July 1st on, but it's hard for me to understand from July 1st back to the whole year.
Last year, we were seeing a lot of. So this year, as we're moving through the fiscal year, we're seeing a lot more. This doesn't impact our inventory or any other processes. It's just an accounting procedure at the end of the year.
Okay, I guess,
I think Paul covered it. It's simply, when we do our year-end reconciliation of the books,
okay,
we will go back and we won't have to go back.
that's what I meant.
As we look at look at items, and decide which ones need to be capitalized now, we will only have to look at those that are
Okay.
$10,000
All
or
right,
more.
got you. Thank you.
That-
I knew there would be an answer.
For auditing purposes.
Okay. Now we have ordinance 4.4.1 zone and comprehensive plan map amendment. Dana?
This was a project that you, a public hearing that you held, I think back in May. It's been so long now. And so this is the ordinance that describes that change that will get adopted. And I think we have confirmation that you can read both motions tonight.
We can, even though, because this is the full council as we
Yeah.
sit tonight. Okay, that was, all right. So can I have it read by title only?
This is ordinance number 1655, an ordinance amending the zoning map from public facility and park PF to residential 1 R1 and the Bandon comprehensive plan map from open space to urban residential.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion to pass ordinance to second reading by roll call vote.
Second,
Do I hear a second?
a
Oh,
second.
Jerry, okay. Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry, that we pass ordinance to a second reading by roll call vote. Richard?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
All right, it has been passed to second reading, so we'll have the read by title only again.
This is ordinance number 1655, an ordinance amending the zoning map from public facility and park PF to residential 1 R1 and the Bandon comprehensive plan map from open space to urban residential.
Motion to adopt ordinance 1655 by roll call vote.
Second,
Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry to adopt ordinance 1655 by roll call vote. Richard?
Yes.
aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Let the record show that ordinance 1655 has been adopted. Okay, the next one is ordinance 1656 addressing camping on city property and rights of way in Bandon. And if there's anyone here who is here because of this, we could give a better explanation of what we're doing. But Dan, why don't you explain what we've done? And
Sure. This comes from a number of sources, several cases in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. The chief being Martin v. Boise, which essentially says we can't punish people for the act of sleeping or existing as a homeless person unless there is somewhere else they can go, unless they have a choice. You simply can't punish this, effectively, you can't punish the status of being homeless. We don't have to build shelters, but we can't punish folks unless we have somewhere for them to go. The state then passed a law codifying some of those things, and it said after July 1st, your ordinance has to be objectively reasonable. And there's some other provisions of that, and I think I'll just talk about them as we go through the pieces of this ordinance. But essentially, it's something that we're required to do. There are no good choices. Homelessness is with us. Bandon does not have a big problem compared to many other cities. I'd say our chief goal is to prevent the establishment of camps. If you've been in cities that have camps, you know the problems that they create. So what we're trying to do is prevent them from coming to Bandon and still complying with the law. We talked about this ordinance in May at length. I'm just going to go, it has sort of 5 sections and I'll just go through 6 sections and I'll just go through what each of them does. The first section says under state law, we have to allow folks who want to provide shelter for homeless people. So section 1 talks about the conditions on which we would allow that. Churches, nonprofit organizations, up to 3 vehicles with a very strict set of regulations, a permit that can be revoked by the city. No one has come to us asking for this, but it's something we just need to have in the ordinance in case someone does come and ask for this. The cities that have tried it, Newport tried it and walked away from it. There were so many problems, but it's a provision in the ordinance we need to have, and we have it here. Then effectively what we're left with is time, place, and manner. So time is 24 hours, no more than 24 hours, and the camp has to be moved. So you can't have a permanent camp. Place, no residential zones, not in the waterway, overlay district, or old town commercial. Anywhere it would create a physical impediment to emergency or non-emergency access. I'm not going to go through the whole ordinance, but you get the idea. Vehicle lanes, rights of way. Within 1,000 feet of if someone does do a temporary shelter in a parking lot, you can't have anything else within 1,000 feet of that. Nothing in right of way, nothing in parking lots, nothing in city park. And not within 500 feet of any school or childcare facility. So that leaves a lot of abandoned out. We haven't done the mapping exercise to figure out exactly what's left, and we probably won't. Unless somebody forces us to do that. Manner of camping, we regulate the size. They can't be more than 150 feet from, closer than 150 feet to each other, and none on the same block. No garbage, debris, unsanitary items, no open flames, no dumping of water, no connections to taps or electrical facilities. You can't obstruct fire hydrants, utility poles, no structures, plywood, wood materials, those sorts of things. No storage of things like vehicle tires, bicycles, gasoline generators, no digging. Those sorts of regulations. There's a revision on vehicle and RV camping that's fairly similar, no more than 24 hours. The same kinds of restrictions on garbage, dumping gray water, those sorts of things. The vehicles have to be operational. No structures. All animals have to be leashed and crated. No power generators. Then we've got some provisions that are fairly strict. We're operating under strict requirements of state law. If we've got to move a camp, we've got to give them 72 hours notice. We've got to store things that have value somewhere in the city. Again, we haven't been asked to do this yet, and hopefully the other restrictions will be such that we're not going to have to tear camps out. But if we do, that provision of the ordinance simply follows what we need to do with state law. Enforcement is by citation generally. It's not a great tool for people who are homeless because they're not going to be able to pay citations, but we can move stuff if we need to move it, and that'll probably be the chief enforcement mechanism. There are some abilities to have administrative rules and regulations that fill out any gaps, and I'm sure we'll find some situations where gaps occur. We can go ahead and fill those in with administrative regulations at the staff level, and then come back and report on them to council. That's a quick outline of the ordinance. Happy to answer any questions anyone might have about it.
Okay, let's do it. Anyone have any questions? Okay, then we need to have the attorney read the ordinance by title only.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is ordinance number 1656, an ordinance creating a new chapter 5.16 of the Bandon Municipal Code concerning camping within the city.
Motion to pass ordinance 1656 to second reading by roll call vote.
Second, and moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry, that we pass it to second reading by roll call vote. Richard?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
It has been passed to second reading. We'll have another reading of the ordinance.
This is ordinance number 1656, an ordinance creating a new chapter 5.16 of the Bandon Municipal Code concerning camping within the city.
Motion to adopt ordinance 1656 by roll call vote.
Second, been moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry, that we adopt ordinance 1655 by a roll call vote. Richard?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Let the record show that ordinance 1655 has been adopted. The next item is ordinance 1657, Title 17 Amendment. Dan or Dana, whoever's had.
That one's me.
Thank you.
So the planning commission has been talking about accessory dwelling units and updating that code. One of the things that's come up that we've heard from the public is that one of our current requirements is that you have to have a separate water meter if you have a detached accessory dwelling unit. What we've learned is that that can be really expensive and challenging, both for the city and for the property owner. So there has to be a certain amount of distance between your water line and your sewer line. If you end up having to have more than one of those, you spend a lot of your property having lines running with a lot of buffer between them. Also bringing a line from the front of the property into the backyard, which is where most accessory dwelling units are being built. It's a lot of digging and more expensive trenching. Also, Tim has to maintain all of those water meters after they're installed. So in talking about it with Dan, it's not a land use item, so we were able to bring it to you. The planning commission is aware of it and they're supportive of it, but we felt like we could get it out of the code sooner. So we're requesting that you just make an amendment crossing out that requirement for a separate water meter.
Okay. Any questions? Would you like to read by title only?
This is ordinance 1657, an ordinance making changes to Title 17 of the Bandon Municipal Code and providing an effective date.
Motion to pass ordinance 1657 to a second reading by roll call vote.
Second,
Been moved and seconded by Madeline and Jerry that we approve, we passed a second reading, ordinance 1657. I roll call vote, doesn't say that here, but okay.
Yes.
aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Ordinance 1657 has been passed a second reading and we'll have reading by title only again.
The ordinance 1657, an ordinance making changes to Title 17 of the Bandon Municipal Code and providing an effective date.
Motion to adopt ordinance 1657 by roll call vote.
Aye.
Second, been moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry, that we to adopt ordinance 1657 by roll call vote. Richard?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Let the record show that ordinance 1657 has been adopted. Phew. I hate those. They're so laborious. It used to be in some cities where you had to read the entire ordinance. I know I used to cover the city of Powers and I'm telling you, sometimes they could be, well, the homeless one, I think it's 15 or 18 pages long. Can you imagine sitting here while they read that completely through? Well, that's the way it used to be, but we don't do that here. All right, now we're hearing, now we're into hearings. Public hearing on the state revenue sharing funds for fiscal year 23-24. Do we have any, if anyone's here to testify about that? If not, do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve resolution number 2313, electing to receive state shared revenues pursuant to ORS 221.770 for fiscal year 22 to 23.
Second.
Okay, it's all in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna deviate a little from this. I want the public to know where the money went because a lot of cities do not give, they all get revenue sharing dollars, but some cities choose to put it into their general fund and they don't share with the community. So I just want to give you a quick rundown of where our money went. The Bandon Community Emergency Response, 3,500. Bandon Historical Museum, 3,500. Bandon Feeds the Hungry, 3,500. Bandon Veterans Guard, 3,000. Bob Baloney Ranch Incorporated, 3,500. Circles in the Sand, 3,000. Common Ground Mediation, 1,000. Coos County Area Transit Dial-A-Ride, 3,500. Greater Bandon Association, 3,500. South Coast Business Employment Corporation for the Senior Nutrition Program at the Barn, 3,000. South Coast Community Garden, Good Earth Community Garden, 2,600. The SAFE Project, 2,000, and the Bandon Arts Council, 3,500, and the total was $39,100. Okay, now we have the public hearing for the municipal budget and imposing and categorizing taxes for fiscal year 23-24. Anyone have any questions on the budget?
Anybody that wants to speak at the hearing? Yes.
No one, anyone wants to speak on the budget? Okay, do I hear a motion?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution 23-14, adopting the municipal budget and imposing and categorizing taxes for fiscal year 23-24.
Second,
Moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry to approve resolution number 23-14. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, now we're on the consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that anyone wishes to ask questions about or bring out to vote on separately? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Moved.
Your move. It's been moved. I'm gonna let Josh, it's been moved by Josh and
Okay.
seconded by Jerry to approve the consent agenda. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, now we have,
Urban renewal, I believe.
so somewhere we do. Public comment.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is what everybody's been waiting. Okay, so now public comment is 3 minutes. So, and we kind of, I don't know who's the clock, but we try to keep it in 3 minutes. So just raise your hand if you want. Okay, we've got somebody, I'm gonna start. She had her hand up first. Donna, yes, Donna, do you want to come up here?
We skip over these or is this part of the consent agenda?
Oh, I don't
The
know.
reappointments?
Thank you. My name is Dawn Snyder Smith. I want to start by asking the council, what's a life worth? Do you know one tiny victory can change a life for the rest of that life? There's a program called Open Stage begun in January of this year by a group of Bandon residents. The once a month programs they produced with the changing format of homegrown talent don't just provide free entertainment to the community, for those of you who may be familiar with them. They create life-changing opportunities. Friends and well-wishers came to support those on stage as they did battle with their nerves and found confidence in their moment of bravery, a moment that can change a life forever. Their access to the theater has been suspended. I am aware that a search for a new theater manager is in progress. But leaving the decision of how the theater can be used and by whom entirely up to the new hire is like leaving the choice of your child's school up to your babysitter. I am here tonight to ask you to remember, that's the council, that you represent the taxpayers of Bandon, to whom the Sprague belongs. So when it comes to deciding who should be able to use this special place, it would be good for Bandon to show its appreciation to the people of Bandon by allocating a certain amount of free use of the facilities to programs like Open Stage. When deciding what a life in Bandon is worth, you are where the buck stops and where it should stop. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Donna.
you.
Oh, and do give your name. I guess you don't have to give an address anymore. Just give your name. Oh, okay, because we have something new. You don't have to give your address anymore. June learned something at her workshop and she said, we're not supposed to require people to give their address. And always before we can ask you if you're in the city limits or not, but that's all we can ask besides your name. All right.
I think John's over there too in the corner.
Yeah, he did.
Is what?
John,
John's over there in the corner too.
is that his name?
My name's Lorraine Poole. And I don't know, maybe everybody but me knows, if you friend the Jackson, the Coos County Sheriffs on Facebook, they tell you right now when something happens, like out in Charleston,
Mhm.
the shootings out there, I knew this morning, don't drive out there, and it's much faster than
Wonderful.
Mhm.
the newspaper or TV.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's
so it's a wonderful service. And then the other thing I was wondering about is who has access to all this information about license plates of cars that come into Bandon? What if a woman hired a private detective to find out where her husband's been? Could he have access?
Margaret.
Yeah, Margaret, who has access?
But the information that the chamber gets would not be accessible to anyone else, right? She's talking about the GPS for, yeah, you probably didn't hear, yeah, I know it went right over your head, but anyway, that's what Lorraine's talking about.
Oh, okay, I thought law enforcement and private.
No,
No.
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mary.
John wants to talk.
Hmm.
John wants to talk.
Oh, John, come on
Oh,
up.
Margaret wants to talk too.
I know what John's here for and I agree, but it's hard. Things hard.
Madam Mayor, City Council, my name is John Costa. I've been here before talking about the crow situation in our city here. And it's just way out of hand.
I agree.
We really need to do something about this. There are other cities around the country that are having the same problems.
Mhm.
One city was talking about hiring hawks to deter the crows. Another city in California was talking about using green lasers to deter them and get them out of their roosts and have them shoo away.
Yeah,
So-
to the neighbor's property.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is a huge, like, in my neighborhood, it's terrible. I got my parking lot and there's just like, excrement everywhere. You look at the power lines above, the whole road all along the power lines. People are stepping in that. It's just,
I know.
it's really not sanitary. And the noise, I mean, they're just relentless. I've seen flocks of, probably 300-400 of them at certain times of the year. And they get in the trees, they'll drive you nuts.
I
I mean,
know.
literally.
I know. Amen.
So I wish that we could change the code back to the way it was originally written. That would actually deem crows as a nuisance, and somehow a bird lover came here, or a couple of bird lovers came and
Yep.
they cried to you guys to change it, because they're categorized as
As songbirds, yeah.
Well, that's like saying, we should have lions in Bandon, because they're part of the cat family, right? Come on, crows eat songbirds. I watch them eat songbirds and our songbirds are gone. I haven't hardly heard any of them this year.
I know
at
the
all.
crows have taken over my property too. And when I moved there 12 years ago, there weren't any. Well, now they're there. Maybe they're visiting. I don't know, but they're there and they're obnoxious.
Okay, so what I'm asking city council is to actually vote on this, to have it changed back the other way. And also to have measures to deter people to do this, like Dan Chandler or someone that could write a piece about this in the newsletter. And,
Yeah, he
yeah,
could.
just something, I've been begging for this for a long time.
I know. Dan, could we have this on the July agenda to vote on whether or not we want to add crows into? I think we need to at least make a decision on it.
They
All
are,
right, well,
they're getting.
Well,
out of
we're
hand.
gonna put it on the July agenda, and that's the July
10th.
10th.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you, Madam
John.
Mayor.
Thanks, John.
Lori.
There we go.
Lori Osborne. As the chamber chair, I would just like to invite you all to Thursday. It is our Mixer Mingler. And it is at the Bannon Fisheries Warehouse Club, and we have live music from Huntington Beach, California. And we'll have some small appetizers, and it should be a lot of fun. I think Margaret has a few things planned. That would be a few. Yeah, so we cordially invite you. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Lori.
Lori.
5 o'clock.
5 to 7, is that right? Okay. Anyone else wish to address the council?
That one in the back there. She
What?
was very vocal before. She doesn't want to talk now.
Didn't want to talk now.
I can't understand
The
you.
one that was complaining.
All
was
right,
agreeing
if somebody
with you
wants to
about
speak,
Lloyd.
they can raise their hand,
Well,
okay?
I'm just pointing out. He was very vocal from the back.
Don't have a speech prepared, so I'm gonna come back next month.
Okay,
But
thank
I'm
you.
gonna have something written down, and it's not a complaint, it's just a suggestion.
All right,
Okay.
come back next again, because we always have, true, it's toward the end of the agenda and you have to sit through the agenda, but it's only once a month, sure. Okay. So now we have other council mayor staff remarks, and then we're going to be adjourning into the urban renewal meeting. Dana?
I just have a quick one about playground equipment because we've gotten a couple questions about it.
Oh,
So we did
yes.
have to remove playground equipment, I think last year at this point because it was unsafe. We were fortunate to receive a grant and used some other, I think, urban renewal funds to purchase playground equipment. It takes a long time for them to make it and install it. So we're expecting that out in like November, December. And also the teeter totters, the seesaw that's out there right now that has tape across it. Every 10 years about, they have to replace the seats, and this just happened to be the time that those seats are replaced. So they're not being removed, but they are being refurbished.
Okay,
So that's being fixed. We'll have new playground equipment and new surfacing material as well this fall, winter.
Dana, do you know the type of surfacing material?
We're going to wood chips.
Okay, good.
Yes. After a lot of discussion with the community, the Parks and Rec Commission talked about it for over a year, so came to that conclusion. And there's more information on the city's website that Dan posted to the city's Facebook page if you want to know about how he came to that decision.
because I know a while back, well, a few years ago, it was quite controversial. I mean, we had people coming in here yelling, and I mean, it was very, very emotional
Yeah, yeah.
issue of what was going to be put on the surface for the
Yeah.
playground.
Yes.
Okay, Shayla, Dan,
A few quick ones, parks related. Folks that may have seen the dog park now, they've placed timbers and new gravel in the area that used to turn muddy.
Oh, good.
Every year. It looks great. Thanks to Public Works crew. They've also put a retaining wall in next to the basketball / pickleball court.
okay,
Looks great. It'll stop the water from draining onto the court. We've completed now, finally, the parts came from Bath, England, and we've completed the seismic valve upgrades to the 2 million gallon water tank and have recoated the inside. So that project is finally done,
good.
completed, and it will be, if a major quake hits, it will be an emergency source of water. Obviously, the pipes probably won't be there, but there'll be 2 million gallons of water, hopefully sitting there safely for the community to use, and it would last a long time.
Good.
I also want to bring to council's attention that will be coming at the next meeting, and I'll give you something in writing before the meeting. For an amendment to the transportation system plan contract. We talked about this a little bit before. To do some further study on this the beach loop, what I'm calling the beach access connector trail. Because it's really about connecting all of our various beach accesses and viewpoints to each other. We've got some more work to do. It's a good use of tourism money. It'll be a great tourism asset. It'll connect our hotels, our best visual assets, connect them all together. A fairly high level of engineering work and right-of-way work to be done. It'll be about $100,000 amendment to that contract, but it will get us a long way down the road. And then we've got something for which we can raise money and seek grants. There's federal money available through the Federal Lands Access Program. There's ODOT money available, but we really can't access it until we have a pretty well-developed
Yeah.
plan. So we'll be coming to you in July with that contract amendment. I didn't want to bring it to you ever again without talking to you about something like that first. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Brian?
Yeah, as many of you know, I've got that little antique shop down in Old Town, which is directly next to Dave's Radio Shack. And it's been awfully quiet over there for about a month. Can I get an update on what's going on? Because it looks hideous right now.
Sure. Do you want to do that? Take it away.
I can start.
She's more animated.
I'm wearing out.
Okay.
Well, I want to say that we are, that work needs a floodplain development application. We're working with the property owner. It's a free application, one that we will help the owner fill out. We've had some communications issues. I think that we have now the information that we need. We've gone back and forth a few times. It's something that we get audited by FEMA on. So, but it is free, and we will help you. We'll help people fill it out. So that should be done and ready to go this week.
Good.
So
Make sure. it gets
Anything
done.
else, Brian?
Nope.
Jer?
Well, I've been busy a while. I went, the new library director is fantastic.
Yes.
I went to the grand opening of the Story Walk. If anybody hasn't been to the park, it's beautiful. And also I went to the Mosaic thing, beautiful there. And then Saturday I ended up at the barn with the gemstone. So everything's doing well. We're doing real good in this city. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to comment on how many things are going on. Normally, like this time last year, not all this stuff was going on, like the gem show that we had. And Lori's doing a fantastic job down at Farm and Sea and the warehouse. I think it's pleasing a lot of people that are coming to town that are tourists that are not here for one of our special events. So I think it's really good. And also I want to thank our Public Works Department. They came out and mowed and they did a fabulous job this year. I was just like blown away. It was great. So that's all I have today.
Okay, I have a couple of things. For one thing, it's been brought to my attention that we need better signage at our new parking lot down at Fillmore. And eventually, of course, right now people are using the gravel lot then the day comes when they can't use that lot. They are definitely going to be looking. And my guess is if I were looking for something and I saw that down there, it wouldn't take a sign for me to pull in. But I think it would be helpful to, if we had a better sign.
The signs are actually in the shop now.
Okay.
ODOT thought we needed to go through an ODOT process to get them approved.
Oh.
After a while, I simply told our staff, no, we don't. Get the
Good.
signs ordered. They're gonna go in, they will not be in the ODOT right of way, they will be on our right of way. But it will both note the parking and the EV charging. I
Oh.
think they only got ones for one side. I want to get some for the other side of the freeway, so folks will see that public parking available from both directions.
And another thing, while we're on the subject, the crosswalk.
Yeah, I was.
The
gonna bring that up.
location of the crosswalk
great.
down below Anthony's building, to me, that appears to be on a curve as you're coming down.
Mhm.
And there's going to be no flasher, right? No,
The flasher,
oh, there will be.
yes.
And an island.
Oh, really?
We just got to 9th Street.
Okay, well, see,
Oh,
we
that makes me
didn't,
feel a
we
lot
didn't
better.
know that. I didn't
Yeah.
think it was,
I
and
didn't
people
either.
kept coming to me and saying, do you know how dangerous this is? And
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I do. I do think with all the yellow lines and the grids and everything, people might slow down a little. That would be nice. But
When do they
No.
think they're gonna get? the
Matt's
flag?
doing a good job of slowing
I
people.
don't, they're much quicker than they did the 9th Street crosswalk. I saw them doing the saw cut the other day for the island. The saw cuts in there, they seem to be moving forward with some alacrity, so
So we're not
Maybe
having to
that's-
pay for anything for that, or?
I don't believe so.
They just came up with it and gave it to us.
Well,
Anyway.
we came up with it.
Yeah, the city came up with it because we
Oh,
wanted to access our,
Right.
I didn't think it was
right.
gonna be down there. I thought it was gonna be up closer to Chicago.
Yeah, I did too.
It's at the apex of the curve. You can kind of see it from both directions, from where the 9th Street light is and where in the Fillmore intersection.
Right,
So yeah,
Well, you will with a flashing
the
light.
flasher,
I
yeah.
mean, that,
sure.
okay, well, good. That's
Yeah.
all right.
Okay, so 9th Street, we had to pay some money to ODOT.
Correct.
like
We paid
85.
a share of that.
We paid a
Maybe
share down here too.
85,000. He doesn't think we do.
I think that we do. If we put the fund on it, I'd be happy to do it anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I just,
And another thing, concern that I have, I don't know if it's a concern, but a couple of weeks ago on a Saturday, we had 2 amplified music groups. First, I think they tried to get in front of your building and you said no.
No.
Well, it'd be-
They were just over by the minute.
okay, but anyway, one was by the minute and one was in front of the Dave's TV building. So the Continuum and the bakery, they were having amplified music. Now, my question is, do we have an ordinance about amplified music? And if we do, could you send it to me so that maybe we could, because it only occurs on weekends and that's when, you can't come up here and say, amplified music's going on. If they would just even spread out and go a block away, but to have it both like this, different music, they weren't playing in harmony.
Well, John the busker is not amplified. He just sings quite loudly.
Well, but doesn't he have a,
No,
well, then the other guy.
the other guys were amplified.
Well, maybe they were just overpowering John the busker, but anyway, 2 of them didn't need to be in the same.
no, not in the same block or a building
right.
apart.
Now, this is just something that I'm throwing open for thought, okay? That I think there's a pretty sizable contract between the sheriff's department and Bandon Dunes for police protection at the dunes. And I'm wondering if we could look into obtaining that, which might mean an additional, maybe an additional officer for Bandon? Because when something happens out there and there's only 2 sheriff's deputies on at a time, one may be in Lakeside and one may be in North Bend, and we're going to be responding out there. So it seems to me like if this is as lucrative as I understand it might be, or at least it's a pretty good size contract, maybe we could look into what it would take to obtain that contract.
So we have a contract, they pay a voluntary TOT tax.
Well, we know that, so
to the
that
county.
isn't, that's part of that.
My belief is that they intended that to pay for additional public safety. We would need a contract with the county, an IGA with the county to do it, and I've talked with the previous and current police chiefs about this
Okay,
quite a bit,
okay,
but we would need an IGA with the county. We didn't even approach it, as you can imagine, a year and a half ago, because we had a different sheriff and
Yeah.
things were a little bit of turmoil there. It might be a topic worth raising. I don't,
okay, just something.
we can predict what we
You
think
know,
the county would
if
do.
there's a way for us to enhance the number of officers that we have by, because since I believe that if something big happens out there, we're gonna be the first to respond anyway.
Sure, we're the
So
closest.
maybe,
We're the first to respond to emergency situations often
Yes.
right,
in the county.
so maybe it would be good if we got paid for it.
Yeah.
That's all my concern.
And you know, something to give our police chief some kudos, that he saved someone's life a little while ago. There was a call just outside of town with a chainsaw accident. And he ended up applying a tourniquet. He and another officer raced out there, applied a tourniquet to the woman's arm. I believe down on 2 Mile, and saved her life.
Oh, wow.
So there've been a couple of those incidents in the last month that don't get called out often enough, but.
And that kind of thing too, I'm hoping that they put it out like the sheriff. I had talked to the chief about it because once the sheriff's department started putting out the kind of information that we see now that Lorraine was referring to, anything, Facebook is pretty instantaneous and it's certainly better than waiting for the world, which is like 10 days behind. If we could have an increased use of that to let people know what's happening, because we hear the sirens and then we don't know what's happening and everybody gets trying to figure out, did somebody get killed? Did it, just better utilization of the Facebook. And I think that's all.
Pass
I
that on.
have.
Thank you.
I think I've said enough. You don't have any stake?
I was gonna
Josh
double up
doesn't
on
have
what Barry was
anything?
saying. I don't know who's running the Facebook page, but yeah, what you just said, I didn't even hear anything about that. That would be something that would be worth reading. I mean, I'm not condemning, but I saw the other day, somebody found somebody's lost dog on the abandoned police department page, which is fine. But hearing about the police chief saving somebody's life, yeah, it might be a little bit more important to read that.
Yeah, I think he's a humble guy and he's reticent to try to blow his own horn. So we did blow it for them. Thank you.
Yeah, like I said, whoever's running the page.
Well,
run with it, but-
and also the guy, I think that the chase with Kyle Thompson started with the chief
Yeah.
Yeah.
chasing at 80 miles an hour out on Rose Road. Well, then the Bannon PD never put out any, because Chris didn't know about it and he gets, 4 o'clock in the morning in the pitch dark. And if somebody's still at large like that, we'd like to know about it,
It was on Facebook.
It was.
but not the Bannon PD, right?
No,
No,
it
that
was Coos
County
County.
PD.
Mhm.
It was
Did they
Coos
ever
County.
find that guy?
I don't
Is he
know.
still
I
alive?
haven't.
I don't
seen
think
any updates.
I don't think he hasn't been apprehended, has he, Matt? Matt?
No.
Okay.
No, the second thing I got is the lights down in Old Town are amazing. There's only one problem I've noticed, that the one at Foley's flickers all the time.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and it's like, that's brand new. It shouldn't be doing that. And the one by Dave's Radio Shack doesn't work at all.
Okay, yeah, they're still going through, so I'm sure they'll check them all out.
It's got
Yeah,
the hood on it. That's the only thing I noticed, but
yeah,
I notice those things
yeah.
especially when you go from day to where they're working on it, it's midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they do look really, really good.
We have,
It's a great pattern of light shining
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
isn't
It's
it?
good.
Sometimes with those hoods, it's like, yeah, it gives you about, 4 inches of light on the bed and then it's sheer dark around it, but it's like,
Yeah.
it's almost like daytime down there in the morning.
Yeah.
Good.
Good job.
All right, now we're going to adjourn to the Joint Urban Renewal Agency regular meeting. I guess we have to have the call to order. Do we have to have the call to order? All right. Yeah, don't feel bad about not staying for this, you guys. No, you wouldn't. No. All right. Thank you.
It's really fun though, you guys. Like, I really enjoyed this and I'm gonna be back.
All right, come in for July.
And I'm gonna like entertain you with, I mean, I think it's a pretty simple proposal.
Okay, but just keep it in 3 minutes. So
Oh, God.
Just
All
write your
right,
little
I'll
thing, but
I'll
time it
time
3 minutes. Okay. Thank you.
What?
All right, bye.
Okay, Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the minutes, urban renewal.
Second.
Interesting.
But she's not a
I
minute.
don't know who that is, but I guess we will eventually.
I don't know who she is.
All right, what,
I just made a motion to approve the minutes.
I seconded.
all right,
Jerry
moved in
seconded
second
it.
to approve, been moved by Madeline and seconded by Jerry and Chris to approve the urban renewal minutes joints of the joint city council meeting. All in favor?
Okay, it was
Unanimous.
joint city council.
Now we're having the hearing on the urban renewal budget for fiscal year 23-24. Anyone here to talk about that? Okay,
Motion to approve resolution UR 2301, adopting the urban renewal agency budget for fiscal year 23-24. Sorry,
what'd you say?
Second.
are you interrupting me?
I thought you were done.
I waited for him. Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Chris to approve resolution UR 2301. All in favor? Unanimous. I don't even look. I just assume it's unanimous. We couldn't possibly be arguing over these things, I don't think. Okay, now we have an agreement for services. This is another resolution 2302.
I move to approve the resolution UR 2302, adopting the service agreement between the city of Bandon and the Urban Renewal Agency for administration, accounting, planning, public works and auditing services as budgeted for fiscal year 23-26.
Second.
Been moved, moved by Josh, seconded by Madeline, that we approve resolution UR 2302. All in favor? Unanimous.
We are good to go.
Unanimous. Now we're adjourned. Oh, dear. Never a dull moment.
Nope.
Never. I wonder who.